Ashvino. Mandalam 1, Suktam 3, Rishi, Madhuchandas Vaishwamitra, Devata, Ashvino, Indra, Vishwe Devaha, Saraswati, Chandas, Gayatri. Mandalam 1, Suktam 3, Rik 1.
Asvini Subhaspati Guru Bhujajanasyatam.
Ashwins, swift-footed, much enjoying masters of luster, do delight in sacrificial impulsions. Legend and reality of the Ashvini Kumaras. The legendary description of the Ashvini Kumaras as the twin sons of the sun as a source of light and Sanya as knowledge and understanding makes the Ashwins the personification of knowledge and understanding gained from light, both real and figurative. According to the legend again, they ride with their father across the sky every day and bring warmth and light to earth and its inhabitants. This exercise associates them with speed in the physical plane, as the fastest possible is that of light, and science for light, speed, and energy as traits of the Ashwins are surely variables that figure in every branch of science. With reference to the epithets in this verse, which is composed from a human perspective, they are swift-footed, considering their velocity of motion, and are masters of luster, being associated with light. As the body systems of all life forms are regulated by their endogenous circadian rhythms that are primarily influenced by light, the Ashwins are also associated with health and therapy. Rendering a hymn to them is an acknowledgement of their indisputable role in regulating and sustaining earthly life. As clarity of mind is associated with figurative light, and consciousness can be defined as the perfect form of illumined and dispassionate understanding, they have a role to play in the other two planes of existence as well. Mandalam 1, Suktam 3, Rik 2.
अश्विना पुरुदं ससानराशवेदया धिया देष्ण्यावनतङ्गिराः
Ashvins, doers of many deeds, manly ones, who understand by thought with strength, do like invocations. Versatility of the Ashwin twins. Many activities associated with the Ashwins have been enumerated in the description of the previous verse, and they are indeed many. As they display strong intent and are incessantly persistent in nature, promoted by their speed and energy, their personified archetypes are called the manly ones. With due and genuine respect to women who express these qualities too, but perhaps articulate them differently and with more finesse. Light transacts on the basis of its qualities of a range of frequencies, colors, and their modes of propagation, namely transmission, reflection, refraction, and polarization. All activities to do with mortals, which is just about everything that happens in the material universe, stem from thoughts, which is a generic name for any signal that impels an activity. Sunlight, or the lack of it, being the primary signal that promotes or impedes animation. The personified Ashwins are said to understand and do things by thought. They indeed pack a punch. They can knock electrons out of their preferred orbitals within an atom. Polarized light can bring down or destroy missiles and aircraft. Laser therapy finds application in cancer treatment, eye ailments, and many others. The force of light in their figurative avatars eradicate ignorance, while the brilliance of wisdom leads the mind towards unification with the supreme consciousness. This is the versatility of the Ashwin twins and their capabilities. Their peculiar personification provides a practicable pathway, though primarily phantasmal in its prosaic proportions, and provides for a personal and participative perspective to the perdurable projects of the ponderously proliferate and poignantly potent physical powers. Mandalam 1, Suktam 3, Rik 3.
दस्रायुपाकवस्तुताना सत्या व्यक्तपरिहिषः आयातम् रुद्रवर्तनी
The Incredibles, the Helpful, Soma extracts devoted to both of you, do verily come to those who spread out Kusha, those moving in terrific paths. Ashwins described. Ashwins represent the radiation of the sun that ranges from the ultraviolet to the infrared with visible light between. Perhaps they are visualized to be twins for the display of characteristics of both a massless energized particle as well as that of a wave. The epithets helpful and incredible signify this dual trait of the sun's radiation and is indicative of their striving to steadfastly establish the rule of natural law within the ambit of their specialization, electromagnetic radiation, under all situations without fear or favor. Generally, the personified twins are depicted as being identical in appearance, except for their skin color. One appears fair, representing a particle and lustrous purity, while the other dark, signifying the invisible waveform and incredibility, their equivalent Sanskritam appellations being Nasatya and Dasra. The Ashwins represent the truth of light, of its progenitors, the sun as the source of energy and Sanya as luminosity and understanding, of its speed of propagation, the fastest that anything in the material realm is known to travel, and of the determination with which they bring their effects to fruition, and are praiseworthy for these characteristics. One verse ascribing to the looks of the Ashwins describes their entire role play in the scheme of nature. That they move in terrific paths perhaps refers to their journey through matterless space to reach the earth. Mandalam 1, Suktam 3, Rik 4.
इन्द्राया हि चित्रभानो सुराजिवे त्वाजवाः अन्वेभिस्तना पूतासाः.
Indra, do verily come, bright luster, the Soma libations united with you, purified by parts and by body. Embodiment of immortals through intent, intonated hymns, and sap. One thing that is common to the practice of all Vedic invocative rituals, amidst a host of immortal natural forces being addressed for assistance for the well-being of mortals, and a collection of varying plug-in procedures that shape the complete ritual, are libations. That includes Soma plant extract as one of the ingredients, and intent and intonation-laden hymns that figuratively embodies the particular natural force in focus and metaphorically mimics its action in the assistance of accomplishing the desired real-life objective. The epithets and extolling provide character to the embodiment. With this concept being in place, it becomes easier to seek their assistance according to societal norms rather than dealing with abstractions whose expressions, though real, can be understood only from inference and deductions. On the question of the practicality of this exercise, there are two general classes of opinions, as it is customary in duality. One assumes that it is merely for the comprehension of existential processes, while the other considers that through them the divinities can be urged to grant specific assistances, ranging from seeking progeny to the fulfillment of the aspiration of supremacy in various fields, to the general well being of the earth and its inhabitants. Guess it is each to their own, while truth continues to stride along its inexorable path, unknown, unseen, and incomprehensible. It is Indra, the ruler of the sensory faculties of any system, as also its regulator, that processes light and energy conveyed by the Ashvins for being transformed and used in each system. Therefore is Indra's mention in this verse. Mandalam 1, Suktam 3, Rik 5.
इन्द्रायाहि धियेषितो विप्रजूतः सुतावतः उपब्रह्माणि वाघताः.
Indra, one impelled by wisdom, do verily come near, moved by thought, to the hymns of truth of the giver of offering. Truth, the expressions of immortals. The correspondence of Indra with the Ashvini Kumaras continues here from the previous verse. Their father, the sun, can be deemed to be the Indra of the solar system. He gravitationally binds and regulates the movement of all planets, asteroids, and comets orbiting him. The Indras that we, as earth dwellers, are in touch with on a regular basis are both the atmospheric regulator and the sun. In fact, there are many more Indras that we are in correspondence with every moment of our lives. The nucleus of every cell of our body is an Indra who supervises the activities of the cell. The Indras of body organs manage the operation of their respective organs, making them to perform according to their designated mandate. The Indra in charge of our sense organs, namely olfactory, auditory, dermatological, ocular, and gustatory, governs our transactions with our environment. The government of the day, at whatever level, along with the spirit of the principles based upon which governance is executed, like the constitution of a democratic setup, along with its keepers and implementers, is the Indra who administers a country. All Indras work in tandem and interdependently. Here again, we see the fractal nature of existence on display and the corroboration of that oft quoted Upanishadic adage, Yat Pinde Tat Brahmande, that translates as in any body, so in the universe, where a body can be any material aggregate or its representative principles, and every principle according to which each of these Indras operate is the truth. Mandalam 1, Suktam 3, Rik 6.
इन्द्रायाहितोरुजान उपब्रह्माणि हरिवः सुते दधिष्मनश्चराः
Indra, do verily come near eagerly to the hymns of truth, driver of steeds. Do hold delight in the offering of ours. Indra's pair of steeds and the structure of the thalamus. All Indras are invoked with hymns of truth from the Vedas and Soma offerings that are recognized by the pair of steeds of Indra, which are also figurative descriptions of many natural phenomena or truths. They are primarily supposed to represent the two means by which Indra receives his feedback signals: electromagnetic and acoustic waves that speed around everywhere in the atmosphere. It is interesting to note that the thalamus of the brain consists of two egg-shaped structures on either side of an imaginary vertical plane passing through the center of the brain. The thalamus processes and relays ocular and auditory signals to the cerebral cortex, where all sensory information are coordinated for an appropriate response, which is a sign of alertness, reactions like delight and disgust, and expression of individuality. Humans, in their pursuit of embodying natural forces and promoting a thoughtful dialogue with them, imagine them in their own form and perhaps refer to the two egg-shaped structures of the thalamus as the two steeds of Indra, with which he hears the invokers' hymns and perceives their location and material offerings made, and provides an appropriate response. This is certainly the truth from the point of view of the Indra in human form and the idiosyncratic humans that he deals with. Mandalam 1, Suktam 3, Rik 7.
सोमासश्चर्षणि धृतो विश्वे देवास आगता दास्वांसो दाशुरस्तुतम्
Benevolent protectors, universal gods, upholders of men, do come verily, donors, to the Soma libation of the giver. This, that, and all is whole. All gods or divinities are universal and benevolent too from the universal standpoint. But those addressed here are the Ashvini Kumaras and maybe Indra along with them. The epithet of donor applied to both universal gods representing natural forces active anywhere in the universe, which is pretty much everywhere, and humans offering libations is yet another affirmation of the notion that both are the same in spirit, despite one being immortal and the other mortal. It also endorses the two Vedic adages, all is whole, and the one that underlines the fractal nature of creation. Perhaps this equation extends to all life forms too, and not just humans, because living a lifetime under the influence of natural forces and the karmic law is in itself a sacrifice on the part of these mortals, just as immortals sacrifice their power, time, and effort in sustaining equilibrium everywhere according to preset norms. These arguments lead to a viewpoint which can be considered extremely arrogant if it is not expressed in genuine humility. It is that every mortal, from the smallest living material aggregate upward, is as responsible to the existence of immortal forces as they are to ours. If this logically and maybe even factually true notion is lived with arrogance, the Dharma Karma Charter ensures the destruction of the individual or group of life forms concerned, while if they live this notion with humility, it leads to universal well being in the mundane and mental planes and transcendence and merger with the supreme consciousness in the spiritual. Mandalam 1, Suktam 3, Rik 8.
विश्वे देवासो अप्तुरस्तुतमागम् तरूर्नायः उस्राजी भस्मसराणि.
Universal gods, flowing waters, do come verily to the Soma libation, swift ones, like shining herds at dawn, to their own places. Thou art that. So many metaphors here that sum up in entirety the Vedic perspective of the organization and functioning of existence. Truths are principles represented by natural forces that work across the universe and work invariably and at all levels of awareness. Hence, they are imagined as flowing waters that pervade the universe or specific regional niches within which a set of truths apply. They need to be swift in their flow to be everywhere at the same time. Cows, clouds, and related thought aggregates are all linked metaphorically. The nourishing milk of cows, life-sustaining rainwater from clouds, and awareness that thought aggregates shower upon us to realize the supreme consciousness are bestowed by these cows and their metaphorical counterparts upon life forms. The mundane level being the place in which an individual life begins its journey of becoming aware. The term shining herds describe a herd of cows going out to graze at daybreak with light from the rising sun illuminating the peripheries of their silhouettes, making them shine, and a similar optic display by both real and figurative clouds upon the horizon, one laden with the milk of wisdom and the other with the primary requirement of life, as we know it, is used to describe the bearers of rain and milk who are both the torch bearers to light our way, as well as advisors to guide us along, as the Ashvini Kumaras do, until we reach our destination, which is realization sans ego, that we indeed are the Supreme Consciousness. Mandalam 1, Suktam 3, Rik 9.
विश्वे देवासो अस्विधजेहि मायासो अद्रुहाः मेधम् जुषन्तवह्नयः.
Universal gods, free from malice, who are faithful in activities of the all-pervading intellect, delighted in the carrier. To err is human, to never do so is God. The faithfulness of universal gods to their activities, gods who will include Agni, Indra, Vayu, and the Ashvini Kumaras, and others who have been mentioned in the Suktams dwelt upon so far, and many others who have not been specifically identified until now, can never be questioned. At the material and mental planes, it essentially means that all laws, physical, chemical, mathematical, or descriptive, have an unambiguous universal pervasion. Their trait of being free from malice is confined to the extent that they do nothing beyond their mandate and have no favorites or bias for or against any activity that they initiate, sustain, or terminate. The reference of harmlessness, being a carrier, etc., are to do with awareness, which deals with abstract consequences of the happenings in the material plane. This differentiation of planes is merely a convenience for the purpose of study and understanding, with the two levels overlapping each other unevenly according to context. The same arguments apply to the supposedly distinct spiritual plane. Consciousness expresses itself differently, yet in a very related manner, as it straddles experiences across the supposed levels. The distinguishing trait of gods vis-a-vis mortals is their spontaneity of action. Any necessary intervention is immediately addressed, a trait that can be directly attributed to their omnipresence and omniscience. They never err. Mortals, on the other hand, are temporal and local and need to deliberate rather intensely prior to any action, a character that makes them prone to erring. Mandalam 1, Suktam 3, Rik 10.
पावकानः सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती यज्ञम् वष्टु धिया वासुः.
purifying expression of inspiration, possessor of plenitudes, intellectually wealthy, do desire with fullness and measure our offering. A beautiful expression of inspiration. Everything in nature, including oneself, is a beautiful expression of inspiration, visually, functionally, and materially, that makes us to be aware of its wholesomeness, each a marvel, each an inspiration in itself that edifies an aspect of truth, each launching countless other expressions in its wake. It is termed beautiful because the logic that drives every expression is perfect, with no loose ends whatsoever to cater to its inherent functions, as well as to its interplay with other activities in its environment, which is the unbounded universe. This facet of the manifest unmanifest is called Saraswati, and this verse is a paean to her beauty and the subtlety, refinement, symmetry, and exquisiteness of the expressions that she represents. The verse yet again refers to the mutual exchange of offerings between immortals and mortals in the administration of the universe, the former represented by the gods, who are various facets of truth, and the latter by the multitudes of life forms that includes us. While the former provide operative parts of themselves to fashion our unique individualities, we, the mortals, contribute our lifetimes to the progression of the scheme of existence. This is a transactional description of the interdependence of everything that is in the potpourri of existence, from consciousness to principles to matter. As mortals transact all their occupations with either real or figurative light, signified by the Ashvini Kumaras, Saraswati's exquisite expressions need the assistance of the twins to be experienced, understood, and corresponded with. Mandalam 1, Suktam 3, Rik 11.
चोदयित्री सुमृतानाम् चेदन्ति सुमतीनाम् यज्ञम् दधे सरस्वती.
Impeller of truth and its pleasantness, awakener of correct thinking, Saraswati upheld sacrifice. Dharma, expressions of immortals. Karma, expressions of the expressed. In Presi, this verse affirms that an expression of inspiration personified by Saraswati awakens correct thinking and impels truth in a manner to attain a preset purpose. Now, the contributors that fashion this expression are natural forces who operate by the code of dharma, and the expressions of the expressed, referred to as karma, or both in tandem. Dharma is declared to be articulations of the manifest unmanifest, while karma is the aggregate of consequences of mortal actions. The individual shares apportioned as applicable in this lifetime or the following of the concerned mortals according to the nature and intensity of their actions, they being the sole contributors to this collective. This would mean that applied karma aftermaths overshadow the correct thinking induced by truth and its pleasantness along certain bandwidths of their articulations, leading to what are termed as sinful actions that are then added to the karma account of the concerned mortal. The mortal then has a latitude available to do virtuous actions to offset the sinful ones made, or let the individual karma account exhaust itself across rebirths, at which point the rebirthing mortal is ready for merger with the Supreme. An answer-seeking mind paints this likely scenario because it stands to reason that if dharma has a method of working, then so should karma. Dharma-karma synchronization must occur at some level to ensure time-bound conclusion to the enterprise of existence. Non-terminated karma accounts get carried over to the next round of this eternal enterprise. The explication may appear to be an exercise at balancing accounts of a corporate entity prior to an AGM. But if the adage Yat Pinde Tat Brahmande were true, then the explication must apply to both a corporate entity and existence. Perhaps this is the manner in which Saraswati upholds sacrifices or transformative expressions. Mandalam 1, Suktam 3, Rik 12.
महो अन्नः सरस्वती प्रचेदयति केतुना धियो विश्वा विराजति.
Saraswati makes us to be aware of the revered water flowing forward by intellectual perception, greatly highlights all thoughts. Utility of personifications. The correspondence between knowledge and flowing water stems from the understanding that existence is a unidirectional flow of activity, or prakriti, that translates as forward action. Activities are expressions of the laws of nature, of knowledge that are reflections of truth. They are perfect and eternal and hence venerable. Saraswati, as the personification of such expressions, makes us to be aware of the knowledge that creates, sustains, and dissolves expressions at appointed times through intellectual perception. It can be argued that personification is, after all, a mind construct, that it is the mind that has the intellectual capacity to acquire knowledge and understanding, that even without personifications, all processes can be understood. However, the notion of personification has two utilities. One, a salutary effect on society, and the other concerning an existential question. Knowledge sans deified personification promotes rivalry and all its associated ruinous propensities, thwarting its proper understanding. This is the salutary effect. Quantum physics declares that the reality of an object can be established only upon observation and is real for the instant of observation, extending this notion on the premise that observation and conclusion drawn from it is also a mind construct. Saraswati and all the other personifications can be as real as any other object and are relevant as long as they serve a purpose.